Welcome back, family, to the Back Issue Book Club podcast. My name is Greg. That's Rich.
Hey, what's up?
And we are coming on the second half of Do a Powerbomb. This is a 7-book series. We covered the first 3 books last episode, and we're covering the last 4 books on this episode. And I just want to say Daniel Warren Johnson has a way with his story writing, and it really shined again for this one. What did you think?
I liked it. I mean, I wasn't overly blown away by it.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was kind of simplistic, but I think the artwork was better than the story writing of it.
This might be the one where we diverge the most, I think.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, look, not every comic book, not everybody agrees on every single thing.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
I mean,
I'm just saying it's interesting that
the number 1 rated Marvel show was Miss Marvel, and you and I were like, what?
Yeah, but then we love She-Hulk.
Yeah, right. Well, the first couple episodes and the last couple episodes, the middle ones were But, well, anyway, though, we're talking about this comic.
So basically, we open with the new tag team that they're going to face off with in the second round. I forget the name of the tag team, but their names are Alphonse and Maximilian.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of giving you some backstory with them, with their king, a year prior to this wrestling tournament. And they're talking about how for the past 20 years their battle with Necroton ended with a stalemate, and how it would have been better if they lost or won, if there was like a clear definitive winner. But the only thing that happened was they ended up losing their best warrior, Velkus the Red, I think. So then we get a badass montage where it literally says montage, and they're like training and lifting weights and learning how to fight and all this stuff, and I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
I mean, I did get kind of a Mortal Kombat feel when I was reading their story part of it. Every 20 years we send people into this tournament.
Oh yeah, it could be, yeah. Although I think they were talking about all the wars that Necroton waged was what they were talking about, because he was always trying to take over the world or whatever.
Take over something.
Yeah. But then, and I'm glad I did this. I don't know if you ever listen to music while you read your comics.
No, because I now won't be able to focus on what I'm reading.
I don't listen to music with words. I listen to instrumental music, and I put on like a hard rock instrumental video, and it tototally amplified everything in these books, and I highly recommend it if you are gonna go read these books. I'm sitting here like, yes. Montage. Thinking like Holy Diver from Dio or something, good stuff. Next up was Cobra and Lana talking about the past and how he's having to hold back and like it zoomed in on his face about how he's having to like hold back tears as he's talking about like her mom. I thought that was a really touching little sequence. But then there's another montage where those two are like, let's fucking do this.
Yep.
And I loved it. It was so awesome. And after the montage, there's a big panel where she's like, I feel like I'm ready to kick some ass. And there's like an explosion behind her, and it says, "Oh yeah," on the on the panel, and boom behind her, like the words are written out.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
That was very Scott Pilgrimish.
Yeah. I love it. And I feel like to an extent just older comic style. What do they call it? Onomatopoeia?
I'd see a doctor about that if I were you. I don't.
It's a gift, not a curse.
Okay.
And then we fast forward to the match today when they're meeting the medieval people.
Right.
And they actually end up doing their finishing move, the King Arthur's table, like they did in the last issue, on Lana, and it almost ended her. But she kicks out at the last second, just like you love. I remember
Yeah.
the ref was like 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And I read that, I was like, oh, Rich is gonna love this. But I also found myself going like, yes, like it's fun. Wrestling is fun, man. She finally manages to tag Cobra,
Mm-hmm.
and he does a giant German suplex, which is where he grabs him, goes over the back of his head on the Maximilian Knight guy,
Yeah.
and then Lola pins him. She gets up, not Lola, Lana. She gets up on the turnbuckle and does like a flying elbow down on, poof, and then pins him, and they win the match.
Yep.
So you find out next that that group that they got into the fight at the pub with, FISO, FYSO,
Yep.
and Puro Pack are next from Tokyo. And everybody is like, FISO are like the heels. Everybody's like, hurling insults. It's like, you suck, go to your planet. People didn't seem to do that with Puro Pack. So I guess FISO is hated in this little universe.
Okay. Well, I think they've already come across as, they're just like in wrestling, there are bad guys and good guys. Yeah. They're acting as the bad guys. So
yeah, and they're just angry, as we'll find out later. But it turns out the Puro Pack is revealed that one of them is Uncle Blood from Tokyo, from
yes.
normal life. And they were like, Uncle Blood? And he was like, you think I'm going to pass up the opportunity to bring back my sister? You crazy. And then, of course, as in wrestling sometimes, the match starts before the bell rings and they start getting aggressive and they sucker punch him. And then they just fucked him up hard. And they broke his neck. And he ended up in the infirmary or whatever. And Necroton was like, well, I've got the best doctors in all the galaxy here. Turns out he's going to live. So we're lucky. And I was like, damn, that was a hell of a reveal.
It made me wonder, though, what would have happened if it had been Puro Pack versus Cobra, whatever they call themselves, Lana,
Sun and
Sun
Steel.
and Steel. Because they were both fighting for the same person. At that point, you could just go, okay, you know what?
Which of us has a better chance? Okay, I concede.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. Like, okay, yeah, I yield, you win. Oh, wait, it's the same prize.
Yeah. So that's a good point. But at the end of that, I keep saying episode, but issue, Cobra Sun says FISO thinks that wrestling on Earth is fake, and we're gonna show them how real we can make it. And it shows him carrying a bat covered in barbed wire, a chair covered in barbed wire, a giant pack of fluorescent tubes,
which really do nothing.
No, but it's a
prop.
It's like one of these for wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And then the 2 kendo sticks, which is another because inexplicably, there's always kendo sticks under a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
No reason why, just are. So that's where the book ends. What did you think of book 4? Now that we've covered that one,
it was well written and fun, and Puro Pack was definitely an unexpected twist. I did not. I knew it was going to be something weird because of the fact that why would you have 2 teams from Earth?
Yep.
But I didn't know that her Uncle Blood was also a wrestler. And honestly, I didn't realize that was her actual uncle. I thought it was more of, I had an Uncle Mike when I was a kid. It was my dad's best friend.
Right, yeah. It's a term of endearment sometimes for just a close family friend.
Yeah. Like if somebody from the next generation called me Uncle Rich, I wouldn't all of a sudden, pass a DNA test as part of the family.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't know where that was going to lead to, but then they were quickly eliminated. I'm like, well, they brought in a character that we all knew, and they could have built on it, but instead they just went, oh, look who it is. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
So I felt a little cheated on that one, but overall I liked the issue.
Cool. I did too. Spoiler alert, I liked all the issues. Personally.
So did I.
Book 5, it starts off with Cobra and Lana asking. They go to Necroton's office as if he's like Vince McMahon, which I guess he is in this case.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, "I want a no disqualification, barbed wire, ladder falls anywhere counts. Ladders falls count anywhere death match, which is basically no rules."
Yeah.
And the whole time, FISO is like, no, what? No. They're protesting, and Cobra-san is like, listen, you wanted drama, you wanted ratings, you wanted entertainment, you wanted blood spilt, so he agrees to do it.
Excitedly, actually.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, this is going to be right what I want.
Yeah. This is kind of his MO.
His thing.
His thing. And they go back and forth in the ring. FISO brings out eventually, they're pretty even match, but then they eventually get a bag of tacks from under the ring, which is a common thing. And, if you watch wrestling, or not an uncommon thing. And they sprinkle the tacks out. And I loved how that was animated. I thought that was really cool. And
so you're saying that the tacks are actually a thing in wrestling? I haven't watched wrestling in a long time.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like every parent's nightmare. Oh, no, first off, any parent's nightmare that says that, it's like to step on Legos. Go back a generation and find out what it's like to step on jacks.
Probably similar.
No, it's not. It's not even in the same ballpark. A square block as opposed to something that could flatten a tire.
I don't know. I'll have to try it.
Masochist.
a corner of a Lego plastic. It is plastic, but it is very sharp. So I don't know. So he brings the tacks out, and is dragging Cobra-san, and he's getting all bloody, and it's hard to watch in real life. And I was kind of feeling that feeling again when I was reading this, but eventually, they start going back and forth again, and the guy rips off Cobra-san's mask. And he rips it off just as Lana was about to lay the smackdown on the guy. But because he did that, she said, she was like, "Dad?" And that pause gave enough time for the other teammate to just wreck her shit. Mm-hmm. So, eventually they pin Lana, and she gets the three count, and they lose.
1, 2, 3. Yep.
Boom, boom, boom. We also get a view into the history of this other team, FISO.
FISO. Yep.
Turns out, go ahead.
It kind of explains why they're angry.
Yes, they. I don't think they knew each other in their past lives, but they came together, and they both have lost somebody that they want to resurrect. A different person, though.
Right.
Turns out they made an agreement that they would work so hard and become amazing tag team members and win the tournament. And then at the end, unknown to anyone but themselves, they would fight each other to the death.
Yep. And then the winner would be able to choose the one person to be resurrected.
Right. So as soon as they win, they start going at it with each other. And Necroton is like, "What the hell?" And everybody's like, "What is going on? Can we get security down here?" Which is a common refrain in wrestling. I loved it.
How big are the security guards expected to be to separate wrestlers?
None. It's purely show.
Yeah.
The guys come down. There's 10 guys, and they're like, and if it's a big guy that they're restraining, at one point he'll go and they'll all fall over like bowling pins. But my question about this part was, they are very ballsy to come up with an extra rule themselves, an extra game. When, why do they trust that he will go through with what they're choosing to do? You know what I mean?
Who are you referring to?
So the devil, Necroton or whatever. Mm-hmm. Why are FISO so sure that he'll accept their last fight between each other and grant the resurrection to the one person that's left, because it's a tag team tournament, and he seems to follow the rules a little bit. So
Yeah, but their
you know what I mean?
team is one. At this point, they get to choose a person. So this is like a side fight to choose the person. The tournament is ended at this point.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, so you guys have won. Who do you choose? They've won. It's over. Okay, they're going to kill each other and fight, and whoever wins gets to make the choice. It's separate from the tournament itself.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that makes sense. I still would have questions, I guess. I don't know.
From his standpoint, he's probably getting a bonus fight out of it. He probably doesn't mind too much.
Well, he seemed to, though, based on what was going on. Let's see.
I think it's also because it was ruining the finale of his show.
Definitely, like, he's a showman for sure.
Yep.
And he wants the production to, yeah,
get the ratings, get the souls.
Yeah. So that was the end of book 5. Book 6 opens with a backstory of how Cobra and Yua Steel Rose met. Turns out she was a scout, and he met her in a bar, and she was like a straight shooter, and she was like, you could do this, I could see you do this, and this and that. Not important. But then we go back to the fight where FISO is fighting each other, and they almost hurt Lana outside of the ring, who's like recovering outside of the ring. Mm-hmm. So Cobra-san's like, don't fuck, you've already hurt us so much, leave us alone. And he pile drives the shit out of the bald guy that's on FISO. And that gives the opportunity for the other girl that's part of FISO to get to him, and they end up actually literally killing each other. So there's no winner. So Necroton's like, oh, Lana, you can walk. Great. Because she had been in the infirmary.
Yeah.
I need you guys in the ring right now. You won. Because they killed each other.
Yeah, I need somebody up there as a winner.
Before that, though, they had some really nice father-daughter reconciliation moments. It was awesome to see Lana forgive her dad. And she was like, I'm glad it was you because it makes sense now, the way you were with me. You know, all the years on the phone and saying, stop.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just couldn't, I knew you had it in you, but I couldn't be the one to help you grow it, I guess.
Yeah, and possibly have another accident and lose you too.
Right. And something felt very Jedi about that. Like, I don't want to train any more Jedi. I don't know if I'm, you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like Obi-Wan was like very anti.
Yeah, but Obi-Wan wasn't phoning the other Jedi saying, don't train Luke. Well,
there was no other Jedi.
well, Filoni has his way, there will be.
Anyway.
Yeah, right?
But that was very nice. And then it turns out they go to the back, and Necroton's like, all right, let's do this shit. Let's resurrect who you want. And they go to his back room, and he's like, all right, 2 seconds. I'll be right back. And he comes back and he's like, I don't have the ability to fully resurrect her. If I did, she would probably come back as a zombie. He kind of did that. And then Cobra's, go ahead.
The pod isn't charged enough yet.
Yeah. So then Cobra-san was like, grabbed him by the collar, flung him against the wall, and was like, motherfucker, you said you would, and we did all this for you. And it was at that point that he snapped his fingers, and these giant dudes appeared behind him, and he got bigger, and he was like, don't mistake, I may not be able to bring life back, but I could damn well sure kill you still.
Yeah.
So don't do that. And then they settled down, and he was like, well, I had a contingency for this. I talked to somebody else upstairs, and literally and figuratively. And turns out God is a huge wrestling fan, and he'd like to wrestle you, and he does have the ability to do that. So they get on this elevator, and they literally go up to heaven,
Yeah, not the stairway to heaven. It's the elevator.
Elevator, baby. And there's a huge wrestling arena. And
Vegas style.
yeah. And that's where book 6 ends. Standing at the foot of the arena to fight God.
Yeah, this is where honestly, this series really lost me. So
Oh, really?
I'm like, oh, come on, seriously, we're gonna wrestle God? Come on.
I liked it.
I know. I'm just saying. You wanted to know what what was it about this series that I disliked? I mean, I told you what I liked, but
Yeah. So, book 7 starts.
yes,
We get awesome new outfits at the last second. He's like zaps them onto them. Necroton does.
got to represent, man.
Yeah. And I really liked at this point how the announcer was calling God all these like fancy, intricate names. He would be like,
the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end.
and the architect of creation with the suplex, stuff like that. I loved it. I thought it was so funny. And then eventually, so they're going pretty even, and they Sun and Steel do their finishing move on him.
Yep.
Like they're able to nail it. But he kicks out before 2.
Ooh, not even before 3.
In which I also thought about you, Rich, and I was like, oh, he would like this one because this one's more realistic. And it turns out it shows a close up of his nose, and he's got a little drop of blood dropping out of his nose.
This I tremendously I did like, especially, and I'm going to just refer to him as the devil now. His reaction: "You made God bleed." There's a very famous passage, it's or not passage, quote: "If you can make God bleed, would you be afraid of him?" And this has actually been used even in Superman movies where, if you can make God bleed, it takes away his omnipotence, It shows that he is vulnerable.
Yeah. So that they devoted a whole, I think, spread page to the devil's reaction.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was like fisheye, and the camera was like under, and he was like, "You made God bleh." Like, it was great.
Yep. Well, that's big to the devil because it gives him hope that he'll be able to overthrow him at some point. Like, he is beatable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just need more wrestlers. Got
it. So after that, God's like, all right, I'm done. And he does.
I'm done playing around, not I'm done leaving.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm finished messing around. It's like a cat playing with a mouse, and the cat's like, all right.
Yeah.
He does his finishing move, I guess, which is the Pillars of Goliath, which is like a double power bomb, and the like ring explodes literally. And he easily wins.
Yeah.
But he comes up and he's like, I want you.
Should have had it as the Big Bang. That would have been cool.
That would have been funny. I like that. But at any rate, he comes up, he brings them 2 belts. He's like, God belts. Okay. And they're like these white title belts or whatever. Because no one's hit me like that in thousands of years. And Lana throws it on the ground. She's like, I don't want this. I want my mother back. Which is ballsy, I guess.
Yeah.
but good on her. And he refuses to do that for her, but he kind of does like one of these things towards her head.
Little Jedi mind trick.
Sure, yeah. And is like, I'm gonna release a memory that you have, but you've locked away for a long, long, long time. And
little Magneto action going on.
Yeah, exactly. And snaps back to a scene that was in the very beginning of the first book, where Lana was with her mom Yua in her bedroom, and they were reading, bedtime stories. And then she was like, "Mommy, what happens when we die?" And I don't know. Some people say we go to a nice warm place. Nobody knows. And this was all the same as the beginning, but then it goes further now than we've ever seen, and it ends up with her saying, "Mommy, will you always be there watching me or watching over me?" And she was like, "Always." And then the panels come back to modern day, and it shows Yua, Steel Rose, in the crowd cheering for her daughter, saying, "That's my girl. That's my girl." Tears. Finn.
Can I go give my mom a hug? Can I say hi to her?
Just a hug?
Nope. You got the belt and the memory. That's it. Thank you for playing.
Yeah, so
Johnny, tell her what she's won.
that was the end. I loved it.
Again, I felt like they got ripped off.
Them, yeah, I guess.
I mean, it is confirming to them the existence of the divine, knowing that as long as you, I guess, lead a good life, you will be with your mom again someday. And you'll get to watch wrestling too for the rest of your life too. It's cool. Makes me wonder, what did they watch 5,000 years ago? We're all got to get together. Johnny's going to roll a rock. So
yeah.
Kane's got to hit Abel again. Yay! So, but yeah, I guess even though yes, there's no Superman flying around and people being bitten by radioactive spiders. I get all that, but at the same time, I like to read comic books and believe that in an alternate reality, it could be happening. It's like fantasy with enough reality to suspend a disbelief. This one could not suspend a disbelief for me. Once you're like, okay, I'm wrestling God. No, sorry. You lost me now.
I think I'm a sucker for these kinds of way left field stuff. Like Shirtless Bear Fighter, that kind of stuff. And, this and Murder Falcon.
But I mean, it's not even in the realm of a fair fight. You wouldn't be able to pin God. You wouldn't be able to hit God. Okay, it's like an ant trying to wrestle me. There wouldn't be a 2 count.
Yeah.
Okay, and let the fight begin. Okay, fight's over. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what. Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
It's just where I had the problem with it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I assumed, God put himself into like a
weakened state.
Yeah, or something. I don't know. Or I just rolled with it.
But maintained himself at 10 feet tall.
Yeah. Well, because I don't know. I feel like God is like. I don't know.
Now, they should have been like wrestling Morgan Freeman or something. Yeah.
It would have been funny if it was like an old man body that was still like destroying them.
Yeah. Rhea Perlman. I don't know.
I do like, I guess.
Peter Dinklage.
There you go. But only as a tree. So he's like 50 feet tall.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm trying to figure out what the moral or what the whole message was of the book, and I think there was a nice monologue that the mom gave, and that was something along the lines of, yes, wrestling is, predetermined.
Mm-hmm.
But so is
your life doesn't.
But so is life. We all die. It's kind of it's a cliche, but like it's the journey. It's what you do with it and how your story goes. So I kind of like that. I thought it was.
It's cool.
I thought it was good.
I'm sorry I didn't like it as much as you.
Dude, nothing personal at all.
Okay.
It's good. It's good for the podcast. I mean, we've been pretty mano y mano for a while, so it's time for you to fuck off. No, I'm kidding. So what are you going to give this bad boy? How many power bombs?
I'll give it a 5.5 on a suplex scale.
Oh wow, okay.
And you're probably up around a 7.5 or an 8.
I'm debating 8.5 or a 9.
Wow, you really do love this thing.
Yeah, I really do.
I wonder if it hits you harder because you're a dad.
Certainly possible. I mean, The Last of Us did, the first episode where he, spoiler alert,
yeah,
loses his daughter.
So For those of you on the podcast, Greg just raised his hand, which is what we do on our videos to let people know not to hit mute if they don't want the spoiler.
Yeah.
He wasn't swearing an oath to anything. So
I swear I cried.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I swear, and watched it and went, no, that sucks.
Also, there's a lot of fan service for wrestling fans in this, and until I joined this channel, I watched a lot of wrestling on the weeknights. And before the kids, so there was a lot of like winking and nodding towards people like me who were into wrestling a lot.
Mhm.
So I got a kick out of a lot of that stuff.
Cool. Hey, I want to give you and the viewers and listeners a story.
Okay.
Something that happened to me in my life, which this episode reminded me of when we were talking about the security guards required to enforce their will on wrestlers.
Okay.
Okay. So when I lived up in New York, I worked a day job, but New York itself is very expensive. And my first wife was very expensive. So I had to work a second job at nights.
Oh.
And I wound up working for about 7 years at UPS.
Uh-huh.
What I did there was I helped control high values, which was also a form of security. So whenever there were other kind of problems with security, they would call us. My coworker, his name is Sheem, very good friends, still to this day. We would get called whenever their security was required. Now, my day job found out that I had a night job, and since I was salaried, they considered it was a conflict of interest, even though it hadn't been for 7 years. So they told me I had to quit.
Oh.
They told me, I said, look, I'll give my 2-week notice. All right. So I give my 2-week notice. Maybe 2 days before my last day, we get a call from one of the centers, one of the offices, that a driver and a supervisor are having an argument, and the driver is getting rather belligerent, and they need us to get over there to escort him off the property.
Oh.
Right. So as we're walking there, I'm like, yo, Sheem, if anything happens, if we start to throw down, you stay out of it. I'll do it. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what are they going to do? Fire me? I'm leaving in 2 days anyway. Let me be the one to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, you just stay out of it. You're about to get promoted to supervisor. So we get there, and there is this muscular, no neck, arm this big driver arguing with the supervisor, and I went, I forget what I said. I'm not doing this shit alone, right? And the driver looks over at us and goes, "What? They called you two guys to escort me out of here?" And we looked over like, uh-huh. He came over. He puts his arms around both our necks. He goes, "I love you guys. Come on, yeah, let's escort me out of here." He got to laugh at it. He wasn't mad at us at all.
Oh, wow.
So he actually walked us to the door, and then then let go of our necks and go, "Have a good night, guys."
Wow.
But yeah, you see this guy like, I just told him that I would handle this by myself.
Yeah.
Oh no, I renege. I want a mulligan on this call.
That's funny.
And he turned out to be, honestly, yeah, he was arguing with the supervisor, but he was a sweetheart,
That's cool. Or not cool, but interesting story.
Yeah, but that's why they call security on the wrestlers. I'm like, yeah, I know what that's like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not happening. Nope. Because if I'm that big, I'm in the ring.
Right.
We're making where the real money is.
Right.
So.
Although I've seen
Lifestyles of the rich and famous and the security guards for the WWE.
Yes, I've seen that. No, I've seen wrestlers today in footage from, a few years ago that were, security guards. So oftentimes they are wrestling, but they're just not made it to the big time yet. So that's like they're in for now. Daniel Warren Johnson's going to be at Heroes Con down in Charlotte.
Cool.
So I'll be keen to meet him.
And I better work some more overtime so I can make sure I got my what do you call it? Money for hotel room and all that fun stuff.
And the massive keys I'm going to buy.
Yeah, right.
So for next week,
yes, please tell me.
We're going to be reading the 3-part miniseries Spider-Man: Death and Destiny from 2000.
Cool. Any specifics about the book? How did you choose this? Just pull it out of a hat.
Yeah, I looked up best Spider-Man miniseries, and I found a guy's webpage that had a bunch listed.
You know why we're doing this is because people are not suggesting what they want us to read.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe we're pulling out good choices and they like it, so they want to continue. But we really want to know what you guys want us to read. So, yeah, we want to know, what are your favorite storylines? What are your favorite comic books? What are the things that you would like us to react to? Whether we like it or not is completely irrelevant because we just want to see us react, right?
Yes. Yes. And also, selfishly, I like reading these new stories, new to me stories. So.
No, absolutely. I don't want to read the same stories over again. I did it with Wolverine, and that was such a letdown. I don't want to do that again.
Although that makes for good content, I feel like at some point,
I did bring that
in some
up in
ways.
the store that we reread the Wolverine from 1982, and they're like, "Oh yeah," I'm like, "Yeah, it would not do well in today's market." They're like, "No, not really." I'm like, "You knew this already, huh?" Yeah, we know.
So, yeah, we'll be reading that. But if you have any ideas, let us know in the comments, and then we'll take those ideas from here on YouTube, but also on Patreon, and the patrons can vote on what book we do next time, along with a bunch of other things like the direction of the channel as a whole, or even what benefits you want to see in the future. Like that's really cool. I've not seen any other, not to toot our own too, but I've not seen any other creator say like, "Hey, what else do you want?"
Yeah. We are not just creating; we are accepting input.
Yeah, absolutely.
Input, Johnny number 5.
Nice. Short Circuit, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
Yep.
The good one and the bad
when
one.
He became like a badass with the spike and the mohawk and the club in his hand and stuff. But anyway,
tie up the humans, destroy the robot.
But if you want to get all a bunch of that, get the podcast a day early, get extra content that's exclusive to Patreon, get stuff early on Patreon that eventually comes to YouTube, and be able to hang out with us once a month or so to just chit chat, join us on the Patreon, which is banners right here.
If you're hearing this on the podcast, that is
patreon.com/Team And then on there we also have unedited watch-alongs. So when we watch a show on the channel, or sometimes we only watch shows only on Patreon. They're exclusive to there. You get the full time code synced reaction for us. So you bring your own copy essentially of whatever we're watching, and then you sync our video to yours, and we all watch together.
Hey.
Just like we're doing after this, we're going to be watching Last of Us episode 3.
Yes, absolutely.
So thanks for joining us. We will catch you guys on the next episode. But until we do, mahalo.